The Israel-Arab conflict. This is one of the major conflicts of the 20th and 21st century. Till now 5 major wars occurred, which resulted in deaths of more than 200,000 people. But recently the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain signed a historic agreement with Israel, which is called the Abraham Accords. So, the question now is, what is this agreement about? And, will this bring peace in the Middle East region? Well, stick around to find out. But before going further, please hit the subscribe button. And trust me, you won't regret that. To begin historically, both Jews and Arab Muslims laid their claims on the land of Israel from a long time. But things got worse when Jews fled to Israel after facing horrifying atrocities in Europe. And this triggered a political conflict in the early 20th century, as Jews wanted to establish Israel their national homeland. Yet the Arabs resisted, seeing the land as rightfully theirs. Although United Nations intervened, and planned to give each group a part of the land. But this attempt of the UN failed. After that, Israel and the surrounding Arab nations fought several wars over the territory. Decades passed, but no proper solution came up. And due to this constant conflict, most Arab countries do not recognize Israel as a country. But, now it looks like things are changing. The Abraham Accords could be the beginning of peace in the region, as the UAE and Bahrain are not the first countries to recognize Israel. In 1977, Egypt was the first Arab country to recognize Israel, and sign a peace deal with them. Now let's see what is the Abraham Accords, and what benefits it will bring in this region. In the Abraham Accords Declaration, there are 3 main documents: the Declaration of Peace, Cooperation, Constructive Diplomatic, and Friendly Relations with Israel. Although this accord does not give the detailed information, but it is expected, in the coming weeks the delegations from Israel and the UAE will meet to sign bilateral deals. After this, we can see significant cooperation in the sectors like tourism, technology, energy, cybersecurity, and other areas of mutual benefit. This cooperation will support the UAE's economic development agenda, and also its ongoing journey to diversify its economy from the dependence on oil, to one of the most advanced economies. The Israeli Ministry of Economy estimates that the normalization of ties between Israel and the UAE could lead to $500 million of bilateral trade and investment. So, what could be the reasons to bring up this accord? From a political point of view, the timing of the deal suggests that its primary purpose could be to deliver a political victory for the current US president in his upcoming November election. Plus, this could make the Israeli Prime Minister more politically strong. But when you look from a strategic point of view, this deal is actually to counter Iran. The main threat to the countries like Saudi Arabia and UAE today is Iran, and their regional proxy wars, along with extremist Islamist movements. These countries know the Iranian power projection, and they want to prevent the rise of another horror like the Islamic State in the future. Also, the UAE and Saudi Arabia no longer perceive Israel as a serious threat to them. This deal will not only solidify and formalize the anti-Iranian coalition in the region, but could also give UAE the ability to buy greater quantity of arms from the US. As you know, the US is slowly pulling out its forces from the Middle East region, whether it is Afghanistan, Iraq, or Syria. And new players like China is entering in this region through stronger ties with Iran. One more advantage is, the Israeli technology and military hardware is most advanced in the Middle East. So creating allies with Israel could significantly improve UAE's and Bahrain's influence in this region. Yet, opening relations with Israel will certainly have an impact. It may lead to other Arab countries to recognize Israel. And in the coming time, we could see peace in the Middle East region. Also, expanding economic ties between 2 of the richest countries in the Middle East will surely benefit both the economies. On the other hand, it may also further escalate tensions in the Persian Gulf, and could encourage Iran to resume its pursuit of nuclear weapons to secure itself. Meanwhile, the Palestinians could face some pressure to accept this deal, as the most powerful Arab states made clear that they no longer care. And the 2-state solution still looks questionable. Despite new peace agreements, the Middle East remains as strategically complex and dangerous as it was before. Although it is too early to predict what will be the impacts, and only time will tell the output of this deal. So, what are your views about this video? Let us know in the comments section below. And we are glad you watched the full video. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. Thank you.